talking about the event in Uvalde, the horrible event. Today, this is Saturday, it's 8 a.m. and there's supposed to be a Uvalde school board meeting to discuss the firing, termination of Chief Arredando, the CISD chief, and it was canceled. So let's watch a real quick video on that, and then when we come back, I'm going to make some predictions about what's going to happen with the officers, and then let's tidy up some details and some loose ends on the report about a couple of things. And so first, let's watch this video, and then I'll make those predictions. We'll see. All right.
Finally some type of justice, and then they just go and say, oh, it's going to be canceled.
That's one of many Uvalde parents livid tonight after the school board announced it will not meet tomorrow. Trustees were scheduled to decide whether they'd fire District Police Chief Pete Arredondo. Hours ago, school administrators canceled that meeting, citing legal concerns. It's not clear when those issues will be resolved. Superintendent Hal Harrell recommended firing the chief this week, days after another heated board meeting. KENS 5 reporter Matt Houston has been working to determine whether this delay is warranted.
I mean, there's some outrage out there.
Adam Martinez says he's becoming jaded.
It's not surprising that it was canceled.
He's among dozens of parents who've demanded action from Uvalde's school board, specifically,
y'all hire him, y'all can fire him,
related to Police Chief Pete Arredondo. Martinez has 2 children enrolled in UCISD schools, including an 8-year-old who evacuated Rob on May 24th. He says he doesn't trust the chief to protect those kids next year.
We have to show that we can hold them accountable. Otherwise, it's just a joke.
Superintendent Hal Harrell wanted to fire Arredondo tomorrow, but the chief's attorney asked for a delay. Legally, Arredondo has a right to an explanation and a chance to defend himself.
Our priorities is to get information to our families.
The embattled officer has been on leave for the last month, collecting a paycheck, according to the town paper. He's likely the highest salaried law enforcement official in Uvalde County, but the district announced today they won't pay him any longer.
They need to get it together, come up with a plan, and then give us the information.
Martinez says he's lost faith in the school district. He wants the superintendent to step down, too.
Matt Houston joins us live now. And Matt, if the school board eventually...
Alrighty, so here are my predictions, and God, I hope I am wrong. Probably not. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you. I think what I think is the reality of it. Just my opinion. And hopefully I am wrong. Okay. So for sure there's not going to be any of the federal agents like Border Patrol, Homeland Security, or even the DPS. No charges, no disciplinary action, nothing's going to happen, okay? So that's just off the plate, right from the get-go. There's no federal agents going to get in trouble, okay? We're going to have to accept that, right? Chief Arredondo, he will be fired within 3 weeks, I believe. I don't think they did it today, because there's probably something in that contract that's going to trigger some kind of like major payout. You know, like if he's terminated before his contract runs out, the school district has to pay X amount of dollars or something like that. I don't think his pension would be tied into the contract, although it could be. He had worked at several different agencies before, Webb County Sheriff, Uvalde Police Department. So I'm not sure if he has a pension from when he was there or not, or how that works out. But I think he will have to be fired, okay? within 3 weeks. The parents are very upset. They're not letting up on this. The government was probably hoping that this thing would die down within a couple of weeks, but it hasn't. Okay, it needs to be kept into the news cycle. Okay, because Americans, we lose sight of things pretty quick. Attention spans not real great. So, like the KHOU 11, Channel 11 out of Houston, they've been doing a fantastic job. The locals here in San Antonio, Case Atkins 5, have been doing pretty good. Yeah, so I think they're going to have to fire him within 2 to 3 weeks. It's not going to be good. Okay, and the school board president is probably gonna have to resign no matter what happens. So Arredando will be fired. Here's the bad thing, y'all. No charges. There's not going to be charges, and probably no disciplinary actions taken. And I think even there's not going to be a dishonorable discharge. I hate to tell you this. I think this is the reality of it. I think we need to prepare ourselves for that. So he'll be fired. No disciplinary action is what I believe, in my opinion. Hopefully I'm wrong. And I think he will not face any disciplinary action or dishonorable discharge. He will not lose his peace officer license. And he will probably work somewhere. He'll probably work for another police department. Probably not a good idea to be in Texas. Okay, he's going to have to leave Uvalde. Okay, he can't go. He's not going to be able to go shop in HEB, go walking down the square, nothing like that. I mean, I'll show you a video here in a little bit of some of the Garza family interaction with Ramos's mother. So people are heated. They're very heated about this, and they have every right to be. They lost their kids. It's 19 of them, and it's just a staggering amount. I don't know what to say here, but it's the parents are not letting up. Okay, and Arredando needs to go. But reality is, y'all, I'm telling you, I don't foresee any charges. I read this report up and down. Not that the report was going to recommend charges or anything. I'm not saying that, but I just don't see it. And like I said, he's probably going to work again, just not in Texas. He'll find some police department that sides with him. They probably think he did a good job. No officers were killed or wounded, and they probably think he did a great job. And it's just the reality of things nowadays. As far as the Uvalde Police Department and CISD officers, 2 of them, according to Mayor Don McLaughlin, have already resigned. A couple of them, he said, this is back on the 18th, I believe. 2 of them have already resigned, and my prediction is that probably 2 or 3 more of them will be asked to resign. If they don't resign, not sure how that's going to go. I don't think they can continue working in Uvalde. Okay. At the meeting, school board meeting the other day, some of the parents were complaining that some of those officers were out front providing security, and you can't just fire a whole police department. Okay, you've got to have. I know that they didn't go in and all that, but it takes a little bit of time. You can't just fire everybody and have no security there, no police there at all. It's got to be replaced with good officers. So I hate to tell you this, no charges will be. None of the Uvalde Police Department or CISD are going to face charges. Okay, I'm pretty sure of that. I think as long as they resign, there's not going to be any problems, disciplinary actions taken against them. I don't think any of them are going to lose their peace officer license. Apparently it's a really big deal to have that license revoked or canceled. And I think that the acting Uvalde Police Department chief at the time, which was Lieutenant Mariano Pargas, I think he will probably be asked to resign or he will be suspended. One of the two. I think suspended. Okay, and I want to clarify back on Arredando real quick. He is suspended. He is suspended without pay right now. So he was collecting checks up until now. He is definitely not receiving checks, according to the news, the video we just watched. Okay. Let's watch this video real quick of the, it's from Noticias del Mundo, with the interaction with the Ramos's mom. And then let's go over some details in the report, mainly about the if an officer had the shooter in his sights. And let's go over just a couple of details about the rooms and stuff like that. And then we're going to call it a video on this one. Call it a day on this one. All right.
Ella no quería contestar, pero después respondió que no era culpable. Nosotros estábamos aquí de manera casual y fuimos testigos de primera mano y les tenemos estas imágenes en exclusiva. En plenas calles de Uvalde se enfrentaron verbalmente familiares de los niños víctimas del tiroteo con la mamá de Salvador Ramos, asesino de los 19 niños y 2 maestras de la escuela primaria Rowe. Ante las acusaciones de los padres de que su hijo era un asesino, ella respondía que no.
There's no way that this lady can stay in Uvalde. No way. It's not safe for her to be there. She should seriously look into leaving. Probably needs to go to San Antonio or even further than that. No way she can stay in this town.
Que seguramente no lo saben. Al mismo tiempo marcaba el 911 para pedir apoyo de la policía. En un ambiente tenso donde la mamá del tirador sollozaba, prefería no decir nada, aunque de repente llegaba a contestar.
You know, Dora, you're the last person to judge me.
Tú eres la última persona en juzgarme, que Dios te perdone, respondía la mamá del tirador. Del otro lado, los papás de Emery Joe Garza estaban indignados.
La molestia es muy fuerte para ustedes como padres.
Sí.
Por el coraje, ¿creen que ella tiene responsable?
Sí, mucho. ¿Qué razones?
He basically asked if they hold her responsible, Ramos's mom. She said yes.
Tenía para matar a 19 niños y 2 maestras. ¿Qué razones?
Saying basically that Ramos's mom is responsible for the death of those 19 kids.
No tenía ni una razón.
It's her fault.
Es inocente.
She's the reason.
¿Inocente de qué? No es inocente, no es inocente. Ella lo crió así. Ella sabía cómo estaba, ella sabía las armas.
She knew that he had those guns. She knew it.
So, no es inocente.
En su camino a esconderse en algún lugar, insistimos por...
Oh, she said she's not innocent. Referring to Ramos's mom, she's not innocent in this.
si nos quería decir algo.
What reason did he have?
You know the
What
mental...
reason?
Los gritos fueron aumentando de tono.
Why didn't you call the cops to begin with?
I didn't
Whenever
know.
you...
No lo hice. Estoy cansada de que la gente venga por mí. No es mi culpa.
I know my son was a coward. You don't think I don't know that? I know. You don't think I'm carrying all that with me? You don't think I don't know? I know. And I'm sorry.
No se dé la vuelta como una cobarde. Lo llevo conmigo. ¿No crees que no lo sé lo que pasó? Lo siento. Adriana estaba vencida de responder y se soltó a llorar. Finalmente llegó la policía y solo dijo esto en español.
Que Dios los bendiga.
La policía se la llevó en una de las unidades y les pidió a los familiares de las víctimas no acercarse más con ella. Bueno, finalmente conocimos a la mamá del tirador, Adriana Martínez Reyes.
You know, I'm not going to read this whole report, okay? But just some highlights, just real quick. Sorry about that. Rob Elementary coach Yvette Silva was outdoors at that time with a group of third graders and she spotted the backpack being tossed over the fence, followed by a person dressed in black climbing over it. She then saw the person raise a gun and begin to shoot. Coach Silva thought the attacker was shooting at her. She ran from the field toward her classroom. She used her school radio to report Coach Silva to office. Somebody just jumped over the fence and he's shooting. She ran toward a group of third graders on the school playground to tell them to lock down. She expected to then hear an announcement of a lockdown, but she did not hear one right away. Meanwhile, the attacker proceeded to the fourth grade teacher's parking lot, continuing to fire his gun. Okay, I'm going to put a picture of her up real quick. Okay, give me 1 second. Let's see if we can pull that up on the map here. No, I should have already had this. 1 second. Okay. Hold on a second. This is good. Okay. So Coach Silva saw him raise the rifle. So she saw him jump the fence and throw the bag over. Throw the bag over the fence. Then he jumped over the fence, which I believe is right around here. Okay, and then saw him raise his rifle and thought he was going to shoot at her. So I believe, not quite sure, man. Not quite sure. Maybe that would put her like in this area, maybe. Or he already fired shots. No, because she said she saw him jump over the fence. So she's close by. I'm not sure if it's here or she says she was in the field. This looks like some kind of track type. I'm not quite sure. Maybe some kind of rough track. I don't know. And then she ran back to the playground, which I believe is way over here. These look like some slides and stuff like that. And so I guess she went back over there. I believe, but it's difficult to find. It's difficult to figure that out, but I believe so. Alrighty, folks, and I know this video is getting kind of long, but let's just tidy up a couple things. One more thing real quick about the officer that had thought he had the shooter in his sights, and then if there's interest in it, I can even break down the report on a blueprint that I made. There is a blueprint in here in the report also. I never had that before. I did the first video 3 weeks ago, and but I pretty much had the rooms down pretty good. I can even document, you know, which teacher was in what room and which rooms were empty and all that stuff. If there's interest in it, I can break it down. That this is a time-consuming, you know, endeavor, but it's something I just want to get out there and trying to keep the story alive, you know. So these parents feel like that they get justice. So just real quick, and there's no way really around not having to read this. I looked at it several different ways, but Uvalde Police Sergeant Eduardo Canales, commander of the SWAT team, had been at Robb Elementary just an hour Before his son's end-of-year school ceremonies, while working in his office, other officers ran down the hallway and said there had been a vehicle accident with shots fired. Let's see here. He followed Lieutenant Mariano Pargas, the acting chief of the Uvalde Police. The Uvalde Police Chief Daniel Rodriguez was out of town. Lieutenant Pargas had been designated as acting chief. On arrival at the school, Staff Sergeant Canales saw cars stopped and a man shooting a gun. On arrival at the school, Staff Sergeant Canales saw cars stopped and a man shooting a gun. He grabbed the rifle, put a magazine. He grabbed his rifle, put a magazine into it, and then grabbed an extra magazine. He saw people at the funeral home pointing in the direction of the school, and he heard somebody say that the attacker was in or near the building. Staff Sergeant Canales entered an open gate where he met Lieutenant Javier Martinez, also of the Uvalde Police. Now, I believe Lieutenant Javier Martinez is the one you see in the video that's pretty aggressive, like the only aggressive one really of all of them. He has like a, white grayish hair, older gentleman, I assume. I'm not sure. But he goes in with just a pistol in his vest, and he's the one that got like shrapnel from the drywall, I assume, hit him in the head. He thought he was shot in the head, but he wasn't. But he made several attempts to go in, and nobody backed him up. Basically, is what happened. I can't fault. I hope nothing happens to him. I feel like he did what he could do. Okay. And I watched several body cam videos. And he goes and helps evacuate a lot of the students. So Lieutenant Martinez also heard the report of a vehicle accident with shots fired. He drove toward the intersection of Geraldine and South Grove. As he arrived, he saw a man on the side of the road pointing. He jumped out of his car, popped the trunk to get his vest, and then proceeded toward the west side of the school's west building. At around that same time, another Uvalde police officer, Sergeant Daniel Coronado, also arrived on the scene. He wore his uniform and a vest, but he had no rifle plates for protection. Sergeant Coronado first stopped his patrol vehicle at the south end of South Grove, where it dead ends to Geraldine. He saw the Uvalde police officers at the intersection who arrived before him. Sergeant Coronado exited his vehicle, heard gunfire, and asked where the shooting was occurring. At first, the officers said they did not know and they could not see the attacker. Okay, so this next part of it, I don't believe we have seen any body cam video or anything like that. It's kind of strange. I've watched Sergeant Coronado's body cam video pretty extensively, and these next parts, I don't know if we have any evidence. I can't find anything. One of those officers testified to the committee that based on the sound of echoes, he believed the shooter had fired in their direction. That officer saw children dressed in bright colors in the playground. And I just showed you guys where the playground was on this monitor over here, all running away. Then at a distance exceeding 100 yards, he saw a person dressed in black, also running away. Thinking that the person dressed in black was the attacker, he raised his rifle and asked Sergeant Coronado for permission to shoot. Okay? Sergeant Coronado testified he heard the request and he hesitated. He knew there were children present. He considered the risk of shooting a child, and he quickly recalled his training that officers are responsible for every round that goes downrange. According to the officer who made the request, if you notice, they don't mention that officer's name. I can speculate based on body cam of the officer we saw going in there with the AR, with the rifle. But it doesn't say this officer. I don't know, y'all. According to the officer who made the request, there was no opportunity for Sergeant Coronado to respond before they heard on the radio that the attacker was running toward the school. The officer testified to the committee that it turned out that that person they had been seen dressed in black was not the attacker, but instead it was Robb Elementary coach Abraham Gonzalez. I mentioned him earlier in my previous video. Let me put a picture of him up real quick. And I had mentioned something about a coach in that very first video I did 3 weeks ago. He had gone to Southwest Texas, which is now Texas State, back in '98. That's the time I was there. I don't know him personally. I believe we probably had the same classes and everything, but I don't recall him. So here's the scary thing. If I'm reading this right, that officer, which I don't know who it is, because they don't say his name, okay, draws his rifle, thinks this guy's running, that's dressed in black, look, with the kids, asking permission to shoot, and it's Coach Gonzalez, Abraham Gonzalez. Can you imagine if he had pulled that trigger? I don't know what to tell you guys. I really don't. At the very beginning, I was even watching some videos today of back when this thing first started, and Jesse Rodriguez had said he knew an officer that, and you can look at my previous video of this I was looking at, where he knew an officer to have an opportunity to take a shot but didn't. And I don't know if that was just confusion or what, but so my understanding, if I'm reading this right, if I'm not, tell me, the officer has Gonzalez in his sights and was asking permission to shoot. Luckily he didn't. Damn lucky he didn't. If this is what happened, Coach Gonzalez had been on his way to the parking lot to leave the school after his lunch duty when he heard a gunshot. And then Coach Garcia's report about the attacker over the radio, he told the children around him to run away. Robb Elementary 4th grade teachers Lynn Deming and Sasha Martinez each testified that Coach Gonzalez yelled at their children to lock down as the attacker approached. All right, so if there's body cam video out there, if you let me know. I looked and I can't find it on this, but yeah, if y'all want one more report on this, it's exhausting doing this research, but I think it needs to get out there. But if there's interest, I can even break down the rest of the report in this video and show what teachers in what rooms were vacant, and if you guys want it. But all right, so what you can do to help is what I did is scheduled a blood drive at the South Texas Blood Center, Blood and Tissue Center, and we donated over 20, I can't remember exactly, 20 units of blood, and there's like 4 red blood counts in there. I think we had the potential to save 65 lives. So we did that, where are we in now, July? We did that back in June, and we've done 2 of those blood drives so far. But, if you're in the area, you can help out that way. But okay, so I'm going to sign off here. And again, if there's more interest, I can break down stuff even more. Video, if body cam comes up, let me know of this incident. It just kept coming out that the officer had the shooter in sights, but apparently that's not the case. And the mayor is adamant that that's not the case. So I don't know. Alrighty, signing off.